Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to the Buddhist Biohacker. And I'm so excited this morning. First off, it's 11:11, or it just was 11:11. So happy day, right? And the Buddhist Biohacker is committed to creating conscious content for 11:11D reality. And that is totally what we're going to talk about today. And I'm super happy to welcome back Kristian Strang to our program. Hi, Kristian.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I love it when we get to do this, Lisa. And I'm so stoked. We're going to do it every Thursday, or the first Thursday, I should say, of every month. So I'm really looking forward to that. These kinds of conversations is exactly what we need during these times to stay anchored into what's true and to not get distracted and pulled out of alignment by the negative agenda and all of the distractions that are taking place right now. So I'm grateful to you for creating this space for us to have these leading edge conversations, because this is the new media. This is where we need to be.
Yep, thank you. And I agree. And I'm really happy to have you as a featured guest. And this is a new concept for Buddhist Biohacker. We are evolving minute by minute, and I love it. And so, yes, the first Thursday of every month, we're going to talk about living in a new reality. It's still probably not enough, but it's a start. And yeah, let's get started. I mean, we talk about living in a new reality, and I don't know if you saw Kristian, but I actually did a presentation. Who knew I'd do PowerPoint presentations on physics and quantum time, but we did do a presentation about the 11 dimensions and superstring theory and what exactly that means. And so for everybody who's coming in on the live, comment question on the live chat. And also, if you guys missed it, just go to the 11:11 call from last week, and you can rewatch that. If you're wondering what is 5D, what's 3D, what's 11D, what's going on, like I don't even know, watch that presentation, because we actually go through all 11 dimensions and what it means. And when you go through it, it's like, wow, like I really have been living in all 11 dimensions. So just so you guys know, part of what we're talking about is really all of that information. So it's really good to get the information, I think, and to see. And really, superstring theory states, the scientists say that's as far as they can see, but it doesn't mean it's the end. And so that's something to remember too. There's even bigger theories with 33 dimensions and 88 dimensions and all that stuff. So anyways, where do you want to start, Kristian? What does your team have to say today? I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, so I was tuning in. And by the way, I love that you created that so that folks have like something they can go to see. And I feel like it also speaks to the fact that like it's an eternal journey. You know, there's more and more to discover. There's more and more to learn. There's more and more to uncover. Any one of us who thinks like, oh, I have it all figured out, like think again. There's so much still out there for us to explore and to learn and to expand into. And that's really exciting for me. And I'm sure exciting for a lot of us out there to know like, oh, we never get it done. There's always something more we get to learn and expand into. When I was chatting with my highest light team, that's what I call them. It's easier than saying everyone's name. I was chatting with them this morning about, you know, what to bring to this conversation, and what they were talking about and that they wanted us to open up the space around was the creation of the new media and the new reality media, and that we really disconnect from the third dimensional and fourth dimensional medias so that we can create something brand new. So the reason that we're focused on creating the new is because we want to prepare the vibrational frequency so that as more and more people awaken, and as more and more people realize what's really going on and awaken more and more, they've got places to go. They've got media like, Lisa, what you're creating. I'm just wrapping up my new website, sacredspirituality.org, where we're providing a total resource center of sacred spiritual tools, articles, podcasts, videos, practices, so that people will have these portals to go into, like what you're creating, Lisa, and what I'm creating, and what many others are feeling called to create, where we've got high dimensional, high vibrating content, information that will allow you to continue your ascension and embodiment, not pull you out of your alignment. So the intention of the negative agenda and the traditional news media is to keep you disconnected from your divinity, and to keep you in hatred and anger and fighting and blame and guilt and pain and shame. And if you stay there, you're vibrating at a lower frequency that they can not only control, but they also feed off of, because those energies emit a frequency. So we want to really step into our discernment with something that the HLT kept talking about, being more discerning about the media that we're partaking in and what that means. It's not just like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's a really big deal right now. We really want to be charting the course for the new and creating high vibrational content and high vibrational media that allows us to have a different experience. Because as long as the 5 organizations that have been running the show of this world, you continue to partake of what they're giving, then the new reality ceases to exist.
Yeah. Well, and that discernment word, oh, that's such a big word. That's a big word I use for folks with dating.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But one thing that brings to mind for me is about 2 years ago, I decided to change my feed on social media. I was tired of seeing the same things that I was seeing. And I started changing across all platforms. I started unfollowing, unliking, deleting, eliminating all of that energy that's negative, that carries destructive emotion. And I went through this process of starting to follow and like where I want to get my information from. And a big example is I left the healthcare matrix in 2011 and went into a completely different space with my health. And when I did that, part of this discernment word that you're talking about, and discerning your social media and creating a conscious space to tune in, is on all of my platforms, I follow functional and integrative and holistic and Ayurvedic doctors. And I stopped following other information, old information, if you want to call it that. And so what's funny is during this global event, because I don't even like to use the word pandemic, but during this global event that occurred, I noticed I had this moment of, you have this little blossoms of awareness where I realized I was completely engaged in the biology of what was happening. Most of the functional doctors knew something like this was already happening. And the conversation was very much around, what to do that did not mirror mainstream media. And so I want to encourage everyone to change your feeds. If you're not ready to make a change, which I know we're going to talk about, if you're not ready to completely change the platform, change your feeds to follow what's in alignment with your belief system. If you're seeing it and it's making you angry, stop following it. Like, now my feeds are full of healers like you and me, doctors that are incredibly brilliant, quotes that are incredibly powerful, trans channels who have great information. Like, my experience in social media, I have a lot of folks recently who have said, oh, I don't even have time. I don't want to go in there. I don't want to look at it. And I realized that I have space to engage. Like, I go to your platform, Kristian, and I love it. And I see what everyone's writing and I engage and I can comment and I can share. And the reason I have space to do that and I'm not overwhelmed by it is because I already cleared all that garbage out of the way. I only see what I want to engage in. So if you're feeling overwhelmed about what to engage in, if you're feeling frustrated by what you're seeing, you have the power to change that. That is all you changing your own algorithms. That is definitely not anyone else's fault.
100%. And it's so empowering, right? Because with the old media structures, they just fed to us, and they still do, right? With television, newspaper, and the publications, they're just feeding to you what their rhetoric is, what their agenda is. But we're in an empowered, enlightened time, potentially, if we'll allow it to be that. And we get to choose the content that we take in, and we get to choose what we form relationships with. So a lot of what the HLT has talked to me about is the psychic entanglement that happens when you're feeding on the traditional narrative and the mainstream narrative. So, we don't have to be pissed about the mainstream narrative. We just need to be discerning and know that it doesn't serve our ascension and our embodiment. If we want to live in connection and communion with the divine, we can't be taking in the mainstream rhetoric. the important piece that I think we forget so often is the power of the energetic field that we're working in. And that is what you focus on expands. This is like basic, spirituality 101, right? It's like what you focus on, you will have more of. And that happens individually and collectively. If we all said, we're going to stop feeding the monster, we're going to stop participating in these storylines, we're going to stop letting them manipulate the emotions we feel with the stories they share and all of those things. If we just said, we're out, we're not participating, they would die. They would cease to exist. They would go to it more appropriately. They would go to another plane of consciousness. And so what we're wanting to do in creating the new reality is creating that where we are living so in communion with the divine that energy has no place here, and it actually has to go to another plane of consciousness. The reason the negative agenda and all the shit that has been happening to humanity for so long has continued to happen is because we continue to participate in it. And so one of the messages from the HLT is everyone taking responsibility for what's happening. So we need to be discerning. Any information that comes to you from any source, get curious about that and go into your heart and go into your connection with the divine and say, is this true? Because the experience I'm having since I've started doing that, it's not true, folks. Like, they are not giving us the real information, of course, because the whole point is to keep us divided and angry and upset and enraged and in fear, right? So we've got to start by being discerning. And then we have to start creating the new and stop focusing on all the distraction, because it's all just trying to get us at each other and disconnected from who we really are. So it's such a powerful time, and it's such a call for unity, and I'm really excited to see that happening. I'm very sad and disappointed, as we were talking about earlier, that humans have to get it this way, like it has to be this dramatic and this painful for humans to wake up to unity and to including people of all colors and all of us working together. But if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. We've got work to do. We've got to go deeper into our unification with ourself, so our spirit and our soul through our body, and with each other. And so I love that I'm seeing more of that unity happening. I'm loving that I'm being inspired to, create more of that unification, because we each are responsible. We've each created this. So really that taking our personal responsibility of where does the discord live inside of me, and how can I untangle that? That allows you to live in a higher frequency. You cannot fulfill your destiny and live in connection and communion with the divine if you are connected to the negative agenda. It's just not possible. So, people say, oh, you got to know, you got to be informed. Yeah, that's the programming they give you so that you will be. So just wake up, get curious. Wait, they're telling me that I have to be informed. I have to know about these things and I need to be angry about it. I wonder what that's about. Oh, I'm just curious. Because humans hurting humans is not something to be angry about. It's something to be very sad about. It's something to be very like, and then how can I be part of the solution? How can I be of service to the wholeness and the unity? That's where we need to go. That's where we're being asked to go. But it starts with us. That's the bottom line.
It does. And something you said, I made a note here. Something you said reminded me, in Buddhism, they call it the hungry ghost, feeding the hungry ghost. And isn't that an interesting way to think about, media that's creating negativity, is you're feeding a hungry ghost, and a hungry ghost is never going to be full. They're never going to be satisfied. There's never a fulfillment there. And by doing that, you're ultimately creating that same energy inside yourself to not be satisfied, to not feel whole. And the wholeness comes from that unification that you're talking about. It comes from us coming together. It comes from us being able to use platforms like this to be able to express ourselves and to be able to talk about things that are not creating destructive emotions, but instead are creating positive, joyful, unified emotions that are connecting you with the divine, ultimately.
Yes. And the hungry ghost is so, I love that you brought that in, because that's what, I ask my team, why control? Why power? And they said, because it's an energy that cannot be filled. Once it starts, it just starts perpetuating itself. So why do they want control and power? Why does the negative agenda want control and power? They don't even know why, right? It's this perpetuating energy that just wants more and more and more and more and more, and it can never be filled. And we see a lot of humans operating in that way too, because they absorb that energy of, they want more, they want bigger, they want this, they want that. I mean, you got to come back into your center, come back into yourself. And so I would encourage folks, to go through whatever your social media is, whatever your media is, and just feel it in your heart. Is it aligned for me? Is this serving my highest good? I hear a lot of light workers and healers talking about, I need to stay on negative platforms because I've got to shine the light and help people wake up. And what myself and the HLT want to say to you is, it's not your job to wake anybody up. They will awaken through their own process. They have their spirit team, they have their higher self. If their trajectory involves awakening, they will wake up. And when they wake up, they need somewhere to go for support that's safe, protected, and that they can feel safe to awaken within that context more and more and more. Awakening is a journey. But folks talk about, I've got to help people wake up. And we just want you to know you don't. You just have to keep awakening yourself. And we need to create the new so that as people awaken at different levels, they have places and communities to go for support and their next level unfoldment.
Wow. You know what? I needed to hear that myself, because about 2 weeks ago, I was told there were 3 platforms. I was told just delete it. And I've questioned it myself. I mean, here I am 2 weeks later, didn't listen to spirit, haven't deleted it, because I'm like, should I really be deleting it? And today's the day. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm going to do that right after this. I'm done, because, you tell people where to go. Everyone knows how to find us. Everyone knows what we're doing. Yep. And the platform already has all the information from me because of all the years I've been on there. So today's the day. It's happening.
I have chills everywhere.
I'm doing it, right? Because
so
at the end of the day, the folks who are connected on there are also connected in other spaces. And I think it's about age-old psychic development. And you know this, Kristian. Age-old psychic development is scattered energy, right? If water flows out on all these little pieces across the land, it just goes into the dirt. But if it's a river and it's focused, then that's the only focus. So that's spirit through me telling me what to do right now in front of everyone.
I love it. So brilliant and so powerful for all of us, because I was told the same thing about Facebook, and I've really had a hard time. I was on there for, since 2009. I built up a pretty solid following, and, I could see all the ways my mind has been connected to this thing. And also I can feel the freedom of deleting that platform. And I can feel the platform does not want me to delete it. Okay, yeah. I can feel the energetic tentacles. And I realized the other day, I was telling my husband this on our walk, that I realized that this living through the digital platform creates this energy, and it leaks your energy in a way that I did not understand before. So, we could go a lot of places with this, and people could say, oh, Facebook's not that bad and da 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 da. It's fine, but you've got to feel the energy of the platform. You got to feel the energy of the people running it. You've got to just feel it, and then you'll know. It might be a different platform for someone else, right? But for me, it was Facebook, and that's because there was so much entanglement in there, and I didn't even realize it. And so the law of magnetism, we have to talk about the law of magnetism here, because, as someone doing the work I'm doing and what you're sharing here, Lisa, I think why would I cut off from my community that I've built over, 10, 11 years? And HLT says, remember the law of magnetism, which means what is meant to be yours by divine right will be magnetized to you when you are in alignment with your highest self and with your divinity. So this notion that Facebook brilliantly created, that, you know, we need them for that connection in that community, or that we need anything outside of us for that connection, is a falsehood. We need everything that our divine self guides us to and nothing more. And then everything that is meant to be ours will be magnetized to us. And so again, we've got to go higher. We've got to go into this new reality way of living, into the fifth dimension or higher, which is, there is no competition. There is no like, I have to work really hard to get my people, or I have to work really hard to sell whatever I'm selling. No, you need to be aligned with who you really are. You need to be clear, right? So you need to be eating well, you need to be eating clear, you need to be drinking lots of water, you need to be meditating every day, you need to be doing some form of spiritual practice, you need to be doing some form of emotional work to work with your emotional body and the content there. When you are clear, what is meant to be yours cannot be like, no one can take it from you because it's meant to be yours. No one can, you know what I'm saying? Like we really have to go higher. We've got to go higher.
Well, and I'm making a bunch of notes while you're talking because I had a thought popped in my head. It's never me, it's always spirit. But guys, align to the 11D energy. Do the research, align with those 11 dimensions, then ask yourself what platforms you should be on. Yes. Number one, because where Kristian and I are coming from, and I know that most of you watching now, later, listening on iTunes that are drawn to this feel the same way, which is all of us are doing our spiritual work, our inner work. And when you're in those spaces where you're channeling the divine, you're bringing in the energy of source, you know what's right and what's clear. So get in that space and then make your choice. And the other thing I wrote down, Kristian, too, you're talking about, you know, that the deletion, you know, the energy, the exhilaration. And I think that is the divine feminine, you guys. That is the unknown, right? The divine feminine lives in the unknown. And there's this moment of like, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I feel this like super empowerment coming from this conversation. Like, I'm going to sit with how it feels to push that delete button today. Yes. Because when I do that, I'm actually embracing the unknown, and that is standing in complete faith and complete trust of spirit and what they're telling us. Complete faith and complete trust is why we do what we do every day. It's why this platform exists. It's why you're here, Kristian. Like, it's complete trust that we know. So why are we not like, that's how deep those programs are.
Oh, everything you said was so good. So good.
I feel this like vibration. I love it.
Too. I've got like chills going up my entire body. It's so powerful. So what Lisa said is so important. Get aligned with who you really are, then ask. Don't ask from your wounded self or your triggered self, like, what's the right platform for me, or where should I go? You know, get connected to who, literally don't do anything until you get connected to who you really are. And certainly don't make big decisions for your life, for your business, for your media intake until you're connected to who you really are. That is, thank you, Lisa. That is so important. And the stepping into the unknown allows the next level to be created. That's the thing. And the faith and the trust, I mean, that is it. When you're living a spirit-led life, you are in faith and in trust of the divine. And that's where you got to be. And that's, I mean, Lisa, I know you can speak to this. It's the best feeling ever to be held by the divine and to have that faith and trust. Now, how do you develop that faith and trust? You develop that faith and trust by being discerning, by following your divine guidance and not ignoring it. You know, I have experiences in my own life. I've been working with clients for 12 years. I watch people get guidance. They ask for it, they get it, they don't follow it. Chaos follows. You know, like, just, we build that trust and faith when we follow the guidance. And the guidance does not make sense. So let's also talk about this. The guidance does not make sense when you first get it. And it may be totally, and it usually is, counter to what you're programmed to believe. That's how you know it's legit, you know? So you've got to have faith and trust in that, though, and take those leaps. And then you build more and more faith and trust, right? Lisa and I have been on this journey for a long time doing this work. So it builds your faith and trust. Now, I've had experiences in my life that really hurt my faith and trust because I followed the guidance and it did not go the way that I thought it was going to. And I was pissed about it, you know, and then I'm like, I'm mad at you, you know, spirit, I'm pissed, you know, and I'm having that happens. But ultimately, it's always revealed why it's the best decision for you. And then you go, okay, thank God I followed the guidance, right? So we have to, you know, I see folks really struggling with this and so easily they give up. You know, oh, it's not going the way I thought, I'm out. You know, like, oh, I followed that guidance, but it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to go. It's never going to happen the way you think it's going to go. That's the magic of it, because we're on the ground level, we're on the ground floor. We can't see all the things that our higher self and source and our team can see. So we have to have faith and trust in them looking out for us. There is no other plane of consciousness where they have spirit teams, guys. Like, we have spirit teams here because we need it. So use that connection and let yourself have faith in it. Keep surrendering to it, and you will live a really fulfilling, rich, magical life. That's how we create this new reality.
Yep, it's so true. Well, and you know, part of what we're doing here on Buddhist Biohacker channel is creating a resource of light. So if you guys want to hear more about faith and trust, listen to Julie Hoyle and Taria Ward on our podcast talking about following the golden thread, because I'm telling you, that podcast alone has created like massive awakenings. People have been calling us crying after they watch it. Like, this is massive shifts. So if you're like, what the heck is faith and trust? Like, go listen to that, because that's going to open you up and tell you. And I'm right there with you, Kristian. Like, some of the most painful, hard, terrible experiences I've had, looking back, were the most profound, the ones that opened me the most. And that is, you know, I've never questioned when something lands from spirit to do. I've never questioned it, no matter how awful it might feel or how amazing it might feel. You know, it's like, you want me to do what? And you go do it. And that's the media part is the simple thing. Like, there's a whole lot of other stuff. There's a whole lot of other stuff about living this new reality. I keep saying the word of the day is radical. Radical changes in how we live. Radical shifts in our awareness. Radical changes. I was like, this isn't even about, you know, I need to eat better. This is, I need to not only eat better, but I need to grow my own food and eat what I make and stop going to a grocery store. Like, that's a radical change. And it's happening right now. Like, we have to do this now. There's no more time left.
And that's the thing, you know, and Lisa, you and I were talking about this before we went live. And what I want to share with folks is that there are no guarantees that anything is going to go the way we think it's going to go. Okay. So I want to speak to this though, because it's really important, because if you're in a different frequency, you might say, well, I'm only going to do something that I know is going to have a great outcome for me. And what I want you to know is that this day is going to pass no matter what. And the next day and the next day and the next day. So you might as well get aligned, use all the amazing tools that are available to you to get aligned with who you are and make decisions from that place. For me, how I frame it and what really works for me, and I'll share this in case it lands for anyone else, is that I think about when I make my transition and I'm on the other side, I'm back in non-physical, and I'm sitting there with my higher self, my soul, my higher self, and we're reviewing my life. How am I going to feel about how I showed up today and in this moment? How am I going to feel about, did I go along with the craziness? Did I go along with just believing what was fed to me? Or did I get discerning and think critically and tune into my higher wisdom and then take action? Did I just go along and create the life that, you know, we're fed in movies and television and all that? Or did I do the hard thing, which is to create a totally authentic expression of the divine through the human form? And I cannot be okay with myself unless the conversation I'm having when I imagine that conversation is, I did everything I could. I did absolutely everything I could to be aligned with who I really was, to create a life of that, to share that wisdom with others who felt resonant with it, and to say, I am not part of the negative agenda. I am part of the light. I am here for the light. I'm here for the love. That's it. And I am not going to go there anymore because it makes everyone else comfortable, or it makes the masses comfortable, or it makes me comfortable because now I feel like I belong because there's all these other people doing it, right? So
Yeah.
We are divine beings, so we have the highest responsibility. We can't just like autopilot this thing anymore. You know, we have to take accountability, responsibility. And people say, oh, that's scary. Oh, that's too hard. Then you need to strengthen your nervous system. You need to do some deeper work so that you can get in your fierce power of, I've got this. And what the F, the days are going to go by anyway. I want to be able to at least do everything on my part that I can to create the new reality. And then, inshallah, as my husband says, God willing, you know, let it be so.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. I mean, here to everything you just said. I mean, really, like, and it's something for everyone to think about, because the squeeze, we haven't even gotten to the squeeze yet. I hate to relate to everyone. I'm sorry to relate to you. I had a teacher. I went to culinary school back in the day, you guys. I actually have my degree in culinary arts. And we had a teacher who taught sanitation and safety. Like, I'll never forget this, because he taught, like, that's a tough class to teach us sanitation. We had to watch like the slaughterhouse videos, like what they did to the animals. We had to, all this awful stuff, like how germs are spread, like how dirty everything is. I mean, it's really a tough class to teach. And he would always say, I'm sorry to relate to you. And you knew when that was coming that you were going to hear something really bad about some kind of bacteria or virus or something. And so clear back in 1998, you guys, when I finished that program so long ago, even back then, I had already become an advocate for my own health by looking at the bathroom in the restaurant before I put my name on the waiting list. You know, like, notice everything. And it's even bigger now. And in Ayurveda, part of why it's my inherent practice of lifestyle and health is because you don't put anything on you or in you that you don't know the source and where it came from and what is in it, right?
Yes. 100%.
Don't we want the same thing in our media? Like, if you don't know where the quote really, how many quotes have you seen that are totally not from the person that they're quoting? How many, times have you seen misinformation where by the end of the day, it's like, oh, that was a spam thing, but it had already gone viral and all this awful, like, if you don't know where it came from and you don't trust the source, and Magenta Pixie said something on one of her YouTube videos just a few weeks ago that she said, it is our body of work that you connect into that builds trust. So Kristian, going to your website and seeing your body of work, your videos, your interviews, your books, all of those things are what build trust. When you come to Buddhist Biohacker, our body of work builds trust. So when you're looking at media, when you're looking at platforms, didn't know I was going to go on this tangent, but when you're looking at that stuff, I want you to think of that. That's your discernment is, do I know this person's body of work? Do I trust it? Because that's part of the great reveal, you guys. Part of the Me Too movement was learning that the body of work was a facade, and that what was underneath that was abuse and violence and awful stuff. The Kundalini yoga, Yogi Bhajan, body of work, facade, underneath that, terrible things. There's more to come, guys. So if you're on your media platforms, you need to ask yourself, is this body of work authentic? Do I trust it? Do I know the source? we got to look at these things. Like, we've really got to look at these things, because it's really easy to edit and make cool stuff. I do it with, little videos, and I'm working on a documentary right now. I know, yay. But there's a reason we go live on Buddhist Biohacker.
Oh, I love it. So rich, so good. And I think it's really important, segueing with that, is this is not about a pandemic, which is what I call it. This is not about what we just saw happen in the media blowing up. Again, I'm going to try not to use any words to flag anything.
I know.
Yeah, it's not about that. This is a global reset. This is the opportunity for us to step into the golden age and the new reality. Now, this is our 5th go around, folks. 5 times human civilization has come here and tried to figure it out, and they don't figure it out. So all of us have been part of those other times. And so we're here now. We have the opportunity to take it to the next level, to create the new reality, to allow this to be a golden age that we're living in, meaning that it's no longer run by the negative agenda, meaning that we've got a light agenda, a love agenda, a spirit-led agenda that's running. And just imagine what your life would be like if you had no interference from the negative agenda. And so we want to start creating that now. So one of the reasons why I've been guided to get off of Facebook is, what does life look like when that form of the negative agenda is not in my life? And I didn't realize how much I was plugged into it, right? So I got off of Gmail. So what does it look like when I'm not plugged into that negative agenda? What does it look like when, I just totally redid my websites, new website designer, knew everything. I'd had a friend that I was paying to do my websites for years, let all that go, brought on somebody that didn't know anything, had totally clear energy, created a whole new space, right? So who are we, and what does our life look like when we're not plugged into those matrices that are not serving us? So, and that takes that discernment, first being connected to who you really are, then being discerning about who you're aligning with and the organizations. You vote with your dollars every day. What do you want more of? Right? I want more spiritual healing. I want more spiritual development. I want more awakening. So where does the majority of my money go to? Those things. I want really healthy, clean food. Where is that going to? Now it's getting our homestead, to the next level of growing our food and all of that. So what do you want to see more of? That's where you need to be putting your money. You need to be we've got to all take it to the next level of curiosity and questioning, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is there a better way? Is there a more spirit-led way that I can do whatever it is that I'm being asked to do? Because I'm sorry to relate to you, we're going into the second half of 2020, and there's a series of, there's more coming for us. So that's why I'm creating my safe, sacred containers for folks. We've got a new Rock Your 2020 Great Awakening that's coming, so stay tuned for that, where we're going to create a safe container to navigate the second half of 2020 so that we can rock it while all the stuff is happening. So we've got to get connected to our safe containers. We've got to go deeper into our souls, into our connection with the divine, and the unplugging from all these things that we've let plug into us, right? So we take responsibility. That's not the big bad Facebook. I went open arms and went all in, It's not the big bad Google. It's not the big bad, we allowed it to happen. So we just start unwinding the pieces that feel good for us. So the other thing I want to speak to real quick too, Lisa, is like, no judging and shaming each other about where you're at or not at, because it's so fascinating. The negative agenda just, puts something horrific out, and then let the humans just start attacking each other and fighting each other. Like, if you can see it from the source perspective, it's so disappointing. First of all, I'm just like, humans, come on. So no attacking each other, no making each other wrong. Oh, you're here, you're there, you're not supposed to. No. Stay focused here. Let everybody be where they need to be. We're sharing this wisdom and this guidance so that if it resonates with your soul, you'll step into action. We don't need to judge or shame each other about what we're doing or not doing. We don't need to argue about it. We're grown-ups. We can be grown-ups, right? We can be in our loving adult selves, take care of ourselves, support the people that are called to us, and let everybody else do what they need to do.
I love it. Well, and I think one of the notes I made here is it's time for each and every one of us to be a leader and an innovator. It's time to choose, would be what I want to say. It's time to choose to walk away from what doesn't feel right, no matter what anyone else is doing, no matter what anybody else is thinking, no matter what else is going on. I wanted to read this little thing, just something for you guys to think about. The last time Saturn was in Aquarius was during the Rodney King riots. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn was during the American Revolution. Neptune was in Pisces when Rome fell. And all three are happening at the same time right now.
That's right. I was going to say, oh, that hurts. That's smart. So
yep.
When I did I think I may have talked about this before, I can't remember, but when I did my 2020 meditation in January and said, what's my word for the year? They said revolutionary. And I said, no, I don't want revolutionary. They said revolutionary. And then I heard about this trifecta of like, is a revolution, people. So it's a revolution. So we got to up our game, our spiritual game, our alignment with the divine. That's the only way. There's one loophole in this deal, and it's spirit-led living.
Yeah, I agree. And it's time to make those radical changes and just do it. And I'm going to do it today with my own stuff that I haven't done. There's a whole lot of radical stuff I've done, but there's some things that need to happen. But I'll tell you what, you guys, it's radical shifts, radical changes, radical thinking. There's a great documentary called Biosphere. Actually, it's not called Biosphere. It's called Spaceship Earth, about the biosphere too. So let me rephrase. Spaceship Earth, watch the documentary. If you want to know what it takes to create radical shifts, that is the movie to watch. Because what those people do, not even, the whole movie is about the biosphere. But guess what? What they do before that blew my mind away, because this group of people didn't even know each other. They just got together and decided to start businesses and do science projects and built a ship and sailed around the world together. No rules, no guidelines. And that is 11D reality. 1111D reality that Spirit termed, coined that term for us 2 weeks ago, is that anything is possible and everything is real. And that is the thing. To be a leader and an innovator right now is to say, if anything is possible, then no systems serve me, because those systems have only brought me this far. And if I want to go farther, I have to remove those systems completely. And that's a lot. I'm a very process-driven person. I have a 6 Sigma certification, God help me, as a spiritual being. That's crazy. But I totally do, because I love process. And I think there has to be a new way and a new process. And, Elon Musk created a new way, and he just put a spaceship up, commercial space travel. And while not everyone's going to feel called to go live in space, there's going to be a need for it. And Elon sees that. And no matter what criticism he gets, no matter what happens, he's innovating something because he's driven to do it. So ask yourself, what's driving you? What is driving you? Because every day what's driving me is Spirit going, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. Get more people on, have more conversations, get more information out there. It's like nonstop. And I'm sure it's that way for you too, Kristian. It's like nonstop. So you guys have to ask yourself, am I going to continue to ignore these messages, or am I going to take action? Because do we need another global event? We've had 2 this year. I'm sure there's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6. Do we need another global event to get you to be an innovator, to have you make change? I don't want one. Do you?
I don't want one. I don't. And when this all first started back in March, I made a video, and because the HLT said, they will push you, they will keep pushing you until you will wake up, so it's just going to keep coming until you will do what you've came here to do, which is to live a spirit-led life, to come together with the divine and create everything from spirit, disconnect from all the negative agenda systems that you possibly can, and that will just keep going, right? I thought, oh, I'm pretty disconnected. And then all the digital stuff came up. And so a new computer, new website, new email, new social media, new everything. We have to disconnect, unplug from the old shit. And we have got to be led forward only by our connection with spirit. And that means, because we're in that age of Aquarius, unity. We need to be collaborating like we are here. We need to be supporting each other. There's no more hierarchy. That doesn't exist in a 5D or higher 1111D. It doesn't exist. It's heterarchy, which is we are all important spokes on the wheel of life, and everyone has a gift that matters and that supports that. There's no competition with each other. No one's better, no one's lower. We're all here to work together to create a wheel of life that is sacred, that honors the earth, that honors all living beings, that honors the divine, that lives within us and is around us. So we've got to let go of all the notions of hierarchy and step into the heterarchy, and what I was shown is that we'll have councils led by women that will be overseeing areas throughout, each community, and that we will all work together in a really powerful, amazing way. I feel like we might have just lost Lisa. Lisa, did we lose you? Because my screen went to not Lisa. So I'll keep talking till Lisa comes back on, because I know she will come back on. So we're really here to move into the heterarchy model. And that is so exciting if you can feel that in your body, because it brings in that unification, that we're in this together, we're collaborating together. The negative agenda would have us think that we're too different, right? There's all these things that we're different on, and so we can't come together. We can come together. We have the ability to do that because we're all organic humans are souls. They're souls that we are connected. We're all interconnected. And when we connect into the divine, that's when we feel that feeling of oneness and unity. That is our true and natural state. So we are being invited in this new reality experience to really let go of any notion of superiority, inferiority. And whenever you find that showing up for you, clear it out. Have a healing session on it. I have my superpowers guide where it's a process you can clear things out. So do whatever works for you, but clear out any notions that you're less than or better than any other organic human. It's not even possible. It's such a lie that's been sold to us. And that just comes from wounds and egoic wounds, and we can heal that. And so it's really an incredible opportunity right now to unify, move out of the old structures, and really honor the gifts that every human has, because no one can do what you do like how you do it. So you're an important spoke in the wheel of life. Same for me, same for Lisa, same for all beings, right? So your gifts cannot be matched by anyone else because there is no one else like you. And so you're an important part of the wheel of life. And when we can look at each other like that, we can really start celebrating each other and supporting each other and promoting each other and coming together to create the new through new platforms that we create, like what Lisa's created here, what I'm creating on sacredspirituality.org. We can really take this to the next level. And then over time, Lisa may not even need to be on YouTube. We might not even need those platforms. For now, we're grateful they exist. And we'll continue to move forward in creating the new and creating that unification that we're all here for. So I'm not seeing Lisa. Lisa, we love you. And I'm going to just look and see if I've heard anything from her. I have not. So it's been a joy to share with all of you. And I believe we're going to come to completion. I'm going to go ahead and have us come to completion because we are at the hour mark. And Lisa, I know you're so we have like 5 planets in retrograde, right? So there's also that happening. And so there can be some technology stuff that comes up. But I would love all of you right now to just place your left hand on your heart, your right hand over your left hand, close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath. And imagine that with your inhale, you're gathering up anything that no longer serves you, anything that's come up from this time together that just is no longer like, oh, I got to let that go. Just inhale is gathering it up. And exhale, you're letting it go. And on your exhale, allow yourself to come more fully into your heart center. So inhale, gathering up what no longer serves you. Exhale, coming back into your heart center. Keep that connection to your heart, to who you truly are. Let that guide you forward and make your decisions in your life unfolding. And that will allow you to create your new reality. So I love you. Lisa, I love you. I'll see you the first Thursday of every month here doing Living the New Reality. If you want to connect with me more, go to sacred-spirituality.org. You can go to the contact page, send me an email. I've got free meditations for you galore on that site. We're still putting together some aspects, so it's not complete, but there's enough resources on there for you if you feel so called. It's been an honor to share with you, and I'm loving you and our new reality that we are creating now. So much love.